Welcome to the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim.
That's Ashley.
That's Kim. We're here to recap and relive our favorite moments from My ID Is Gangnam Beauty episode 15 with you, our listeners.
We're gonna jump right in. We're so close to being done with the show!
No, but I'm crying.
Oh my gosh, you actually are! We're gonna jump right in. So this is your one and only warning. Spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't yet, make sure you go watch episode 15 and then meet us here. Meet. Join us back here. Join us back here so we can talk about the episode together. I can't look at you. Today's episode is titled My Boyfriend Do KyungSeok. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to the KDrama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim. Oh, man.
Am I just like holding on to the show now? Like I don't want to say goodbye.
Is that what's happening? I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to plug the Ashley tea? The Ashley tears.
The Ashley tears. Ashley's tears will be on Instagram at the KDrama Show. I'm sorry. Go to Instagram at the KDrama Show. That is where the Ashley tea will be. Any or all random information or goofy videos of us will be posted without the tea. Okay.
Quick PSA, this episode does deal with themes around ED and bulimia, so if this is something that might impact you negatively, please be safe, go make yourself a cup of tea, go for a walk, read a good book, or go check out some of our other content, and we just love you and want you to take care of yourself. So, episode 15. First topic is called Ready or Not. So, we pick up with MiRae and KyungSeok in her apartment, embracing in the kitchen. She tells him he smells nice in spite of the fact that he doesn't wear cologne, and then realizes she smells something else, and that is burning candle wax across the room. He tells her not to burn herself and to have cake instead. And they light one candle for their day one, and they blow it out together. And MiRae hands him a box, and it's that cologne that she had purchased with the initials inscribed in the little leather case. But KyungSeok gets a call from Yujin while they're sitting at the little table, and MiRae hears him say, "It went well," referring to his confession, but he won't tell him who he had confessed to. Then MiRae asks what Yujin would do if he were to find out about them, and KyungSeok says that he wouldn't really have much to say. And she admits to him that she's scared to make their relationship public, but keeping it a secret like this is kind of sad. And then she says that they have Hyunjung, Woo-young, and CEO Na on their side. Isn't that enough? Let's tell everyone. And KyungSeok kind of tries to reassure her, like, you don't need to do this for me. I'm fine with things the way they are. But she's like, no, I think I'm ready. You can go ahead and, rip the Band-Aid off, and it'll be fine. So, yay, we're proud.
We're very proud.
We're proud of her.
We're very, very proud.
But that brings us into topic 2, which is called No More Facade. No More Dream. Okay.
So they are at the company, and they stand outside for a minute, and MiRae finally gathers her courage to walk in together with KyungSeok. And as they're walking, Yena and Taehee pass them. Is it Sungwon? Sungwon passes them. None of them care that they're together because this is...
One of them's got to take a mad deuce.
Yeah, but they're just like, this is such a normal thing to see them walking around together.
Mm-hmm.
And then MiRae has this realization that maybe people really aren't as interested in them as she thought they would be.
Yeah, accurate.
Yes, I'm very proud of her for figuring that out. But Yena and Taehee are walking, and they find Un, and they ask her if she is a friend of Sua's, because Yena had seen Sua and Taeyoung together, and then saw Sua with Junghyuk, and that Junghyuk and Chanwoo were fighting over Sua the night before, and she was just like, it just seems really weird that Sua says that she likes KyungSeok, but yet she's flirting with everyone else. And they just decide we really just need to talk to Sua, which
I can appreciate.
Thank you for not just turning a rumor mill and just being like, we really just need to go figure out what's going on with her. But Un texts Sua to find out where she's at. But Sua's struggling with her own problems of trying to figure out who could have taken the photos that have been circulating. And she decides that it's Wonho because Wonho has always been taking photos of her. And so when he shows up, she asks him if he's still continuing to stalk her and that she can report him and he will end up going to prison and he needs to delete everything. Which...
Well, and he's already kind of a lover scorned at this point because she's
been
admitted that she likes KyungSeok in front of him and has kind of, in his eyes, looked down on him, which, I mean, she does. She has.
Yeah.
And so this whole interaction is just, like, insult to injury, where it's like you were so warm and friendly, and now you're saying that the things you agreed to do are no longer okay, and you hate me for it. Like, it's like, whoa, slow down, lady.
You need to
pump the brakes a little bit.
Brakes a lot of it.
Yeah.
But as Sua leaves, she passes Dongwon, and he asks her if she really does like KyungSeok, and she kind of just like sneers at him and was just like, are you actually kidding me right now? I would say, do you want me to keep going?
No. Okay. Topic 3. True friends and mortal enemies. So we're back in the lab, and the students are told that they should start developing their own scent as part of their final project for the internship. And Sua gets this really strange look on her face before she announces, I don't think I'm cut out for fragrances. I prefer natural scents over artificial ones. Natural is always better than artificial. And I just put, okay.
I just had the largest eye roll. Just was like, oh my gosh, please stop.
And KyungSeok's pretty angry about it because he knows it's obviously a dig at MiRae. And he checks on her kind of with a look, and the director actually clocks it. And she says, you can make a couple fragrance if you want to. And there's this really long pause where no one says anything, and she's kind of like, oh, foot and mouth, I'm so sorry. Did I assume? And MiRae's like, no, you're right. And KyungSeok says, she's my girlfriend. I'll be your girlfriend. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's kind of in amazement, and it's not at any sort of like mismatching of like the physical looks, but it's more the fact that they didn't know these two were dating out in the open like this. And Taehee later brings up the fact that the day that KyungSeok had been eating alone at the restaurant was one of their dates, and she said, you could have just told us, but I guess you were surprised, which is really sweet. And then Un says, I saw this coming from a mile away. You guys look good together.
So sweet.
So cute.
Love it.
But Jihyo and Sua are in the bathroom, and Jihyo is kind of stroking Sua's ego, saying things like, how could he have chosen MiRae over you? And then Sua gets this really kind of a scary look on her face. And she kind of growls at the mirror and says they should say something that makes sense. And Jihyo kind of sees that there's this shift in her demeanor, in Sua's demeanor. Just kind of, she's changed into something that Jihyo's never seen before, and she's not really sure what to do with it. But that brings us into topic number 4, which is called drama. Drama.
So for lunch, KyungSeok and MiRae have left the building, the company, just so they could actually interact as a couple. MiRae's more willing to hold hands with him, not in front of everyone there that's going to just make comments the whole time.
Yeah.
But as they're talking, KyungSeok tells MiRae that she needs to actually be less nice, which I agreed. I was like, yeah, you're right. But then the lunchroom at the company, Un passes Sua and asks her if she's okay and like, are you eating well? And Sua just kind of was just like, I don't know why you would care. Like, don't talk to me. To which Jihyo says that KyungSeok just has such low standards. And Un calls her out and says, you know what, you need to really stop making comments like that. Like, that's enough. But she sits by Yena and Tae-hee, who then they just comment that Sua's ego is just so impressive to not even be bothered. But we cut back to KyungSeok and MiRae, and they're eating lunch together, and MiRae looks over at a group of high school students that are hanging out and just has like this really sad look on her face of just like, I never got to do that. That was never something that I had the chance to do. Just because like I didn't have friends to hang out with. And KyungSeok asks her if she still has her uniform. Maybe.
That brings us to topic 5, which is called Scandal. So as they are talking, KyungSeok gets a text from his mother saying that things are going poorly with his father. And she is going to take care of Kyung-hee, so he should really watch out for himself. But he's welcome to come stay with her if he needs a place to go. But we cut to a press conference where Secretary Kim is addressing questions about Kyung-hee's Dovely persona, denying that the mayor is present for questions, and really everyone should just kind of skedaddle. But Sua's walking to the restroom and passes Tae-hee and Yena, who are leaving. And Tae-hee says to Yena, I just can't hold it in any longer. I'm going to ask her why she met with Taeyoung. And Yena reminds her she's not going to be honest. She never has been. And Sua will just spin the narrative to make it look like Taehee's the one who's weird here. Or desperate. But Tae-hee, yeah. But Tae-hee marches into the bathroom anyway. And stops when she notices that Sua is going through the bathroom stall by stall, checking to see if anyone's in there. But she quiets Yena, who comes around the corner as well, and they hear Sua is retching into a toilet in one of the stalls. And they start talking about the fact that she had bragged about not gaining weight to everyone over and over and over again. And they say it really loudly. This whole time she's just been throwing up. And at this moment, MiRae walks up and interjects saying that they've just misunderstood Sua and she's having a hard time digesting her food, and MiRae can be the same way sometimes. But Tae-hee insists that's not true because she saw Sua check the stalls. And then Sua walks out, gives them a death stare. I mean, it was scary again. And then she just marches down the hall. But MiRae takes off after her and stops her in the hall. And she says, don't worry about what happened. But Sua kind of scoffs at her and says, you're really pissing me off. You must think you're at a higher level now that you're dating KyungSeok. Do you think you've won? That's funny. Do you think you could be dating him if you hadn't gotten everything fixed? Even if he liked you, you wouldn't have been able to hang around him. You fixed your whole face, and why do you pretend not to care about looks? You should be honest with yourself and stop wasting time worrying about me. And MiRae stops Sua as she turns to leave and says, I'm not worried about you. And who are you to decide how much I like KyungSeok? And how do you know if I would have given up or not? And then Sua turns and says, what if I do? And then she just turns around and leaves. But Yena and Tae-hee mock Sua as she leaves. And they poke fun at Jihyo for not knowing that her, quote, best friend had been throwing up after lunch every day while she pretended to brush her teeth this whole time. And Eun hears this and tries to stop Sua, but she's long gone. And as she is about to walk out the front door, she hears a camera shutter click and some giggles, and it triggers something feral in her. She sees Wonho and Sungwoon across the room, and she just marches over to them, and she says to him, I warned you. Erase it. And he kind of casually says, what are you talking about? And she like screams at him, delete it right now, which makes Sungwoon kind of flinch because he doesn't know what's going on, right? But she takes the phone and scrolls through the gallery, which has no more photos of her, right? Because he deleted them. And someone says that they were taking a photo for their last day at internship. Hey, Hyunsua, do you think I still like you and follow you around? I erased the 3 photos I had of you and the group chats as well. Are you happy? And then he says, Do KyungSeok judged correctly. What a relief he dated MiRae instead. Before walking away. And then someone says to her, and this was a really, super good best friend move. He really liked you once. Stop taking your anger out on him because things didn't go the way you wanted with KyungSeok. First-rate friend, right there.
That was
standing ovation. Great job.
It was just like a Hyunjung moment of just
Yeah, it was.
No.
And he's always had his head on straight, like, throughout this whole series.
He really has.
He calls it like he sees it, and he's like, guys, we're being stupid.
You need to go join the military.
He really did.
Please go join the military.
But that brings us into topic 6, which is not named.
I like it. So KyungSeok actually goes to his dad's house. It's no longer home to him because he moved out. And he is finding his high school uniform. And we also see that MiRae is looking for her uniform at the same time. And she kind of panics a little bit when Hyunjung comes home, and she doesn't necessarily want to tell her what she's looking for her uniform for. But she gets down from the chair that she was standing on, and Hyunjung asks, what were you working out? You're really sweaty. And MiRae says, well, I feel like I've been doing some stretches. I just feel like I started to gain weight. And Hyunjung tells her, it's really not that noticeable because you're so tall. But for me, if I eat just this little tiny amount, it's super noticeable. And I have in parentheses, I was like, feels like an odd conversation to have right after the last scene with Sua.
Well, not only that, but they're doing their product placement again with their dieting drinks. And it's not in good taste. A bit problematic.
For what the show is, and...
Yeah. Those are some of the inconsistencies that a lot of people have issues with this show, and it's not really...
That was in poor taste.
Yep.
Moving on. KyungSeok is leaving, and he actually hears his dad. And he goes to check on his dad, who's in his office, and we see that Sungwon has thrown everything in his office, so his office is just... a tornado went through it. And KyungSeok walks in, and his dad turns, and someone asks him if he had come to see him because he wanted to see him suffer. Your mom really did it to me this time. Kyung-hee should have studied rather than staying in just streaming all the time. And KyungSeok calls him out and says, the only thing that my sister wanted was attention and love, and I couldn't do it for her. You don't get to blame my mom, and this is all your fault. And Sungwon just tells him, you need to leave.
He's got a little bit of the early days MiRae, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh. Complex. Where it's like, everything's about me. This is how I feel. Therefore,
everyone's going to feel the same way.
Yeah. Kind of narcissistic in its own way. But I don't think MiRae's came from a place of...
feed my ego.
Yeah, hers was just that she'd been hurt too many times. And then with him, maybe he wasn't hugged enough as a child. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
But MiRae is talking with Hyunjin again, and she's pulled out some of the side dishes that her mom had left. And she's getting food ready, and Hyunjin asks her why she isn't eating with KyungSeok. And MiRae breaks the news that they decided to tell everyone that they are dating, and so far they've been nothing but congratulated. And then we cut to, it's like the middle of the night.
This is cute.
And we see that MiRae is ironing her uniform. And the steam from the iron is sputtering, and we see her turn and just checking to make sure that her best friend is still asleep, because she really doesn't want to have her wake up and doesn't want to confess that she's just doing this to make her childhood dream come true.
And she's shushing the iron.
Stop, please stop.
That brings us to topic 7, which I called Back to the Future. KyungSeok has arrived to pick up MiRae the next day, and she says that he kind of looks like a uniform model. And then he reciprocates, and he's like, well, you do too. And it's just very cute to see them be...
cute.
Yeah. KyungSeok suggests that the two of them return to their middle school, Jaryong, which it makes MiRae hesitate just a bit because she had such a negative experience there, to where she's like, I don't think I really want to relive that. But maybe it's good to go face it head on and deal with it. But as they're walking around their old neighborhood, they comment on how neither of them had actually really gone out much in middle school, and how they decided that they're going to make up for it that day. So they're grabbing lunch, and you can hear some kids are asking each other if these two are really in middle school because they're just so good looking. And they're like 10 feet tall. But anyway, MiRae starts to kind of pick at her burger a little bit awkwardly because she doesn't want to eat something so messy in front of KyungSeok. Never get ribs on the first date, ladies. Just kidding. So he closes his eyes and he lets her take a bite, which is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the squid ink hamburger buns looked very intriguing.
I was very, it just made me hungry, honestly, more than anything else.
But that brings us to topic 8.
So news is spreading fast about the fight between Kyunghyuk and Chanwoo over Sua. Because at the Berlin, Yujin is telling Jihyo and Dongbun, and asks what it was that Sua had done. To which Jihyo, who can't keep her mouth shut to save her life, comments how she didn't know that Sua was flirting with so many guys, but she also didn't know that she was making herself throw up after meals. And Dongbun tells her, you really need to stop saying things about somebody that you call your friend. But we see that Sua has actually locked herself in her room because she can't handle everything that's spilling out right now. And she gets a call from Un. And Un wants just to grab lunch with her or stop by. She just wants to check on her and see if she's okay because she knows, or she just wants Sua to know that if you want to say anything, I am an ear for you. And I know if I don't do anything for you now, I'm going to regret it, which... another good friend moment to somebody who has not been somebody you would want to be friends with.
Yeah, she's not deserving of this treatment, but I think Un sees past the behavior and sees that there's somebody who
really just
needs a friend, like a real friend, not a Jihyo. In a world full of Jihyos, be an Un.
Agreed. But we're at the middle school, and this is when MiRae learns that KyungSeok actually saw her a lot in school because she was always alone, and so was he. And he asks her, why were you never with Hyunjung? And MiRae tells him that Hyunjung would always get into fights over her, and it would always make her feel really, really bad. And they're exploring the classrooms, and MiRae sees on a desk a picture that was carved into the top of it, and it says Kangwork, and she goes, yeah, nothing here has changed. And KyungSeok has gone to the window, and they see a basketball court. They're like, was this here when we were going to school here? And it's another thing that neither of them ever got to do in middle school. And KyungSeok tells her to cheer for him, and they go so he can play basketball. It's like, 2-on-3 because he's almost a foot taller than them.
Yeah. Head and shoulders above.
He is obviously much older, but he, MiRae's cheering for him.
In the cutest way possible.
So
yeah.
I have done that as a cheerleader. I definitely did that. And after the game, as they leave, the schoolgirls they first get asked, are you two dating? And they're like, yeah, we are. And so they decide to leave. And so as they leave, the middle school girls mention that they heard the name Do KyungSeok being called out. And they're like, oh, he must be the legendary handsome boy that was in our school.
Face genius.
That face card never declines.
What?
Have you never heard that?
Nope.
I'm in the K-pop world way too much, apparently. We cut to Un, and she's waiting at a restaurant, and Sua finally does show up. And Un asks her if she wants anything to eat, and Sua just pulls the victim card again. I mean, to an extent, is true, but also... she goes, why should I eat if I'm just going to throw everything up? Everybody already thinks that I'm a psycho now anyway. Oh yeah, also my grandma is alive. I did tell KyungSeok that, so you probably know that already. And Un tells her, yeah, but he's not somebody who's going to say anything like that. He's not that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
And Sua complains, saying that only thing that he's ever cared about is Kang MiRae. And Un asks her if she really hates MiRae so much because of KyungSeok, because that's not what she thinks. And Un tells her, you know what, you've hated MiRae from the start. And Sua tells her, yeah, you're right. The problem with plastic surgery is not the wanting to become pretty, it's the intention afterwards. And she relates it back to a middle school friend that she had who was basically like a servant, but she had an ordinary face. And she got a surgery right before high school and then became super pretty. Then she purposely dated the guy that Sua had a crush on, despite knowing, that information. And calls her out and saying, well, that doesn't really get to count for MiRae because you've hated her from day one.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she says the people who get plastic surgery are, like, intentionally manipulating other people. It's like, well, maybe they're just trying to get away from people like you that are literally out to get them for no reason. Anyway, sorry.
Bummer.
Yeah. But Wonho is on the phone asking if one of his friends had taken the photos he shared in the group chat and uploaded it outside of that on a website. And the friend says, I did see pictures of someone that looked like her. They had the same clothes at least. And Wonho is kind of like, okay, what does that mean? We see Woo Young at home when Wonho calls him and asks to speak with him, like right then and there. And they meet at the Berlin, and Wonho shows Woo Young these photos that had been taken of Sua that are now circulating throughout the school. And our knight in shining armor, Woo Young, takes it very seriously. Mm-hmm. And as does Wonho, and he is asking Woo Young to please help her. In spite of everything that had gone down between the two of them, he still cares about her.
Well, yeah, this is somebody that, at the very least, he was hoping they would at least be friends.
Mm-hmm. And he's concerned, and as he should be. Mm-hmm. I mean, someone is stalking her and taking photos up her skirt. I would also be concerned.
That's very concerning.
But topic 9, we have MiRae and KyungSeok are at the movies, and they are settling into their seats. When an ajushi behind them says, what are these newborn babies doing dating? And KyungSeok is like gripping the chair to keep himself from saying something, and MiRae kind of is like, it's all right, babe. It's all right. And then we hear, let's see if they can even get into college. And they're at the most prestigious college in Korea right now. So, of course, KyungSeok's just like, okay. But MiRae holds his hand, and then he one-ups her by putting his arm around her and, like, pulling her in for a little snuggle. And the ajushi says, look at them. I hope my daughter doesn't end up like that. And that's, like, the final straw for KyungSeok. And he goes to stand up to defend MiRae's honor, but she beats him to the punch and says, who are you talking to? She's, like, turns around and looks at the guy, and he tucks his tail, and he starts to even speak formally, and then he just, like, moves on down the way.
I'm just gonna go.
But that brings us into our final topic.
So Sua is actually standing outside, and she's just thinking about her childhood and her past and how she was relentlessly harassed, being called dirty and being made fun of for being abandoned because she only lived with her grandma. And so she is on her way home, and she really is. Like, she is a mess. Her hair is not brushed. Her clothes probably aren't very clean. Like, she hasn't washed her face. And as she's walking, she actually meets her mom, and her mom takes her in, gives her a bath, takes her out to eat. And as Sua is eating, her mom tells her, make sure that you always wash up. You need to be clean. And then stands up and leaves. After Sua is begging her mom, please don't go again. And she goes, you can do it. You can take care of yourself. And so then from that...
She's like 8.
Yeah, she's a baby. And so she goes to school the next day, and she's looking very cute because her hair is done, her clothes are washed, she's clean, and everybody has noticed, like, wow, Sua is so pretty. And with this, she's, creating friendships, and people are actually giving her attention, so she begins to equate love with looking cute and pretty. But she also needs to remember, I need to be cute and pretty, but I have to not know that I'm cute and pretty. I need to be obedient, but never too smart. Be kind and friendly and just agree and smile. And she's thinking about all of this, and then she hears the camera shutter click. And she's outside, so that's more than mildly terrifying. Mm-hmm. But at the movies, KyungSeok and MiRae realize that they're about to miss the bus because they stayed through the credits and they weren't supposed to. And they make it to the bus stop, and they are 2 minutes late. And so they have no ride home. And they try to find a taxi, and there's none available. They go to a sauna, and they can't because they don't have their IDs. And so
they look like minors.
Well, they're dressed like minors,
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
And MiRae just suggests, we can just go to my parents' house. It's in this neighborhood. So she calls her mom and learns that her parents are not home, and they're not going to be home because her dad got very drunk. So they go to her house and go inside, and it's very, like...
Tension.
Well, it's also just, like, that cute awkward, because you're like, this isn't even, like, my home.
Yeah.
I mean, it is...
But not really anymore.
But not really anymore. And so she's like, I'll get some snacks. I'll get you something to drink. And finds a bottle of soju and was like, okay, do you want some soju instead? Like...
There's nothing in the fridge.
We got some dried squid and 6 more bags of dried squid. That's... So she comes over with the snacks, and so she decides to go change. And KyungSeok kind of starts to look around, like this is the childhood home of the girl that he has liked for a while. And he sees that there's a picture of young, old MiRae, and she walks out as he's picking up the frame, and she panics, like, you know what I used to look like? You don't need to look at this again. Please give me back. Like, she is in a blind panic. And ends up tackling him to the couch to get the picture away, and his poor face just goes, crap. One, she just tackled me onto the couch and we're now 3 inches away, but also, like, she's mad. Like, this is not good. I don't care about the picture anymore. I just want her to keep talking to me. And she shoves the picture in a drawer, and she asks him, why do you like me when you know what I used to look like? And he tells her, just because you are you. I do miss your old face, though. And she tells him, okay, well, you can see it for a second. And pulls out the picture again and says, I'll let you look at it for 3 seconds. And if you still like me after seeing this, then you must really like me. And, like, holds out the picture, and he doesn't even look at the picture. He's just like, is this really so bad for you?
Yeah. But then he, like, pounces on her after that.
Yeah, he, like, takes a shot of soju, puts it down, and just, like, off the couch.
Mush.
Big ol' smooch. End of episode.
Character of the hour.
Have Un. She really, like, her character was always fine throughout the show, but she's never been highlighted. And I think it was last episode, too, that I was just like, we're just a good friend.
She's got the young energy going.
Yeah, we will call people out who need to be called out. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're going to be talking like a jerk, I'm going to tell you to stop.
Yeah.
And, I mean, being supportive for Suwa. Like, because she clearly needs somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Un would be my character of the hour. Who's yours?
I think mine might be KyungSeok, because the man is wildly patient with MiRae. She does that whole 1 step forward, 2 steps back so much. Yeah. Even now, where she's just like, if you still like me after you've seen my face, it's like, he saw your face for like 2 years of his life. It's not like it's a new thing. Get over yourself. But he's just so patient with her, and just consistently there, and is willing to do silly things to help her fulfill, like, childhood dreams and wishes. So I just think that's kind of special. And it's fun to see him have a personality now that he's with the girl that he likes.
Right.
But anyway, final thoughts.
Again, why does everything have to be in the last, like, 4 episodes?
Yeah, really.
So much. We already kind of mentioned it earlier, was the problematic product placing.
Yeah.
For a very, very serious issue. Yeah. Like, this isn't something to take lightly, and yet we're going to be pushing
have girls joking about gaining weight and like, needing to lose it.
And diet drinks and diet whatever. Like,
and the fact that they show a brand of a diet pill.
Yeah.
Is wild to me.
I
like, where is the disconnect? How did we not think this through?
Like, you're talking about somebody who is destroying their own body. And we're going to give people another way to help destroy their body. There's nothing wrong with...
place the idea in their mind.
Right. There's nothing wrong with, moderation. Moderation is a good thing. You're not promoting moderation, though.
Yeah.
You are promoting...
Restriction.
And that can be very terrifying and very unhealthy. And
Well, the fact that they're having the most popular, most beautiful girl, as they've painted it in the show, saying, well, this is what she did to achieve her popularity. And that gets so convoluted in young people's minds where it might not be healthy, but it'll get me the result that I want.
Right.
And that's just not the truth. Like,
well, even with her mindset of, like, if I look pretty, I have to be pretty but not know that I'm pretty, and equating people's actions towards
false
you.
humility, things like that. Yeah,
if I put up this front and this facade, people will like me. They'll like that version that you've put up. They don't actually know you, and then nobody actually likes you.
Yeah. You don't even like you.
You
don't even like yourself enough to give that version of you a shot.
A chance.
Yeah. So
there's some things about this episode that I didn't love. It's very contradictory for what the whole theme of this show is of.
Well, I think that's,
and I don't know if maybe
a
that
common thing amongst K-dramas.
Yeah,
where we
that's true.
Have some problematic cultural norms, just like with American dramas.
Oh yeah,
I could pick those apart all day long. But I think when you're not, when it's not your culture, it's a little more obvious,
noticeable.
Yeah.
But I don't know if maybe that was just their way of calling it out. I don't know.
I think that gives someone a little too much credit, to be honest with you.
I mean,
just look at the Wicked dolls and the website on the back of the packaging.
Right.
Anywho.
Anyway, moving on. No, I'm excited to see how it ends. I mean, we already got our happy ending of our leads being together, so
how it all resolves.
Yeah, and who's taking pictures?
Don't
love that.
I'm excited for the last episode. It'll be a live react. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and check that out. There will be a brief Spotify podcast episode, but for the full react, make sure you head over to our YouTube. I need coffee. I think I'm going full coffee tonight.
Who are you?
Someone who needs to be awake past 10:15 at night.
She's gonna go fall asleep to our show now.
It'll give me an additional 45 minutes to my day, and that's probably about it.
I would agree with that.
That's quite a bit for me.
It is.
Okay, bye.
Like what you're hearing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. We'd love to connect with you on our Instagram at The KDrama Show. For more behind-the-scenes content, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on The KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim, and we'll see you next time.
I couldn't, and then I had to be up at like 4:45.
So even if we get this done in 45 minutes, you're still going to fall asleep to Vincenzo before 11.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't matter. It can be 4 in the afternoon. We're watching Vincenzo. I'm going to fall asleep. I've been conditioned. Every time we watch TV, I'm just like, this seems like a good time to nap.
Whenever I watch a show with Ashley, it's time to take a snooze.
Honestly, you should just come over every night around, 9:30, and we can start a show, and then you can just leave. It'd be fine. I would actually get a decent amount of sleep.